They say there are no permanent friends in geopolitics, only permanent interests. But what happens when the two most powerful intelligence agencies on the planet, the CIA and Mossad, turn their sights on one another? It didn't start with an explosion or a high-speed chase. It started quietly. In 1984, a young civilian analyst named Jonathan Pollard walked into a U.S. Naval Intelligence office carrying a briefcase. To his colleagues, he was just another eccentric analyst obsessed with Middle Eastern geopolitics. But behind those glasses was a mind as brilliant as it was reckless. Pollard began a systematic hemorrhage of secrets. He wasn't just taking memos. He was downloading tens of thousands of pages of satellite imagery, signals interception codes, and NATO movement protocols. He handed them to an elite, off-the-books Israeli unit called Lakam, led by the legendary Rafi Eitan. For a year, the Israelis knew everything the Americans knew. But in the world of counterintelligence, patterns always emerge. Late nights at the office, massive data requests beyond his clearance. The digital breadcrumbs were there. On November 21st, the game ended. FBI agents surrounded the Israeli embassy as Pollard was kicked out by his own handlers. When the handcuffs clicked, a silent war began. This wasn't just an espionage case. It was the birth of a rift that would redefine global security. Welcome to this cybercrime documentary. I'm the Digital Sleuth. And today, we're peeling back the layers of a betrayal that nearly collapsed an empire. Fast forward 20 years. The battlefield had changed. It wasn't about briefcases anymore. It was about packets and protocols. The objective was the Natanz enrichment facility in Iran. By 2016, the CIA and Mossad had a mutual nightmare. A nuclear-armed Iran. They needed a weapon that didn't exist in the physical world. This was the birth of Operation Olympic Games. For the first time, the CIA's technical gurus and Israel's elite Unit 8200 worked side by side. They created Stuxnet. This wasn't just a virus. It was a digital masterpiece. It was designed to stay silent, spreading via infected USB drives to jump the air gap and enter the facility's isolated network. These drives were likely planted by Mossad recruited double agents. Once inside, Stuxnet did something terrifying. It took control of the Siemens frequency converters. It told the centrifuges to spin until they literally tore themselves apart, all while feeding the Iranian engineers normal data on their screens. But even in victory, the friendliest spy war continued. When Stuxnet escaped into the wild in 2010, the blame game was fierce. The CIA accused the Israelis of being too aggressive with the code, causing it to spread beyond its target. Mossad blamed American containment protocols. Even when they were winning, they were watching each other's backs. Not for protection, but for a knife. In the modern era, the rivalry has moved into the realms of internet mysteries and the dark web. While the CIA and Mossad publicly hunt for terrorists, they are also navigating a world of sophisticated financial fraud. Today, state-sponsored groups use the same tactics we see in dark web scams. We're talking about zero-day exploits, flaws in software that the developer doesn't even know exist. These are the crown jewels of the digital world, and they are sold for millions of dollars on private forums. We've seen a massive rise in major phishing attacks targeting defense contractors. These aren't your typical Nigerian prince emails. These are spear phishing campaigns. Highly researched, perfectly tailored emails that look like they come from a trusted colleague or a government agency. In 2014, reports surfaced of hackers targeting US and Israeli tech firms. The code signatures were familiar. They weren't Russian. They weren't Chinese. They were tools derived from their own partners' arsenals. It's a hall of mirrors. In the world of cyber espionage, a partner is just an adversary who hasn't found a reason to hit delete on your infrastructure yet. To understand how these giants fight, we have to understand the tech. Whether it's the CIA's Project Raven or Israel's NSO group, the mechanics of a high-level breach are very specific. They share the same DNA as the financial fraud we see in the civilian sector. It always starts with reconnaissance. This means social engineering. Finding the one employee who hasn't updated their password in 6 months. Next comes infiltration using a backdoor. This could be a compromised software update, or even a malicious hardware component. Then there is lateral movement. Once inside, the spy doesn't just sit there. They move through the network, escalating their privileges until they reach the domain admin level. Finally, they handle exfiltration. Moving gigabytes of data out without triggering an alarm is the hard part. They use steganography, which is the art of hiding stolen data inside harmless-looking files like images or videos. The cost is astronomical. When a state-level secret is stolen, the damage assessment is often in the billions. But for the average person, these same methods are used to drain bank accounts and steal identities. The silent war isn't just happening in Langley or Tel Aviv. It's happening right now, on your router and your smartphone. So, what can we learn from the CIA and Mossad's decades of distrust? If they can't even trust each other, why should you trust your default settings? In the world of cybersecurity, we advocate for zero-trust architecture. This means never trust. Always verify. Every device, every user, and every packet is considered a threat until proven otherwise. Here is your practical defense guide to staying safe in the age of the shadow war. First, hardware security. Just like Stuxnet, your biggest vulnerability is physical. Never plug in a USB drive you found in a parking lot or received from an unverified source. Second, MFA is mandatory. Multi-factor authentication is your last line of defense. Even if a spy or a scammer steals your password, they can't get in without that second physical token. Next, segment your network. Don't let your smart fridge talk to your laptop where you do your banking. If one device is compromised, don't let the fire spread. Finally, adopt the vetting mindset. Treat every unsolicited email or text as a potential spear phishing attempt. Look for the hover link and check for minor misspellings in domain names. Jonathan Pollard was released in 2020, but the ghost of his briefcase still haunts the halls of the CIA. Stuxnet is gone, but its descendants are currently sitting on servers across the globe, waiting for a command to wake up. The relationship between the CIA and Mossad is a reminder that in the digital age, loyalty is a luxury. They will continue to share intelligence on Hezbollah and Iran, and they will continue to try and hack each other's most sensitive data. They don't forgive, but they move forward. The world of international espionage is complex, dark, and forever changing. But here at the Digital Sleuth, we're going to keep tracing the wires. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the silent war, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories that intelligence agencies tried to bury, coming your way soon. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay secure. I'm the Digital Sleuth. I'll see you in the next investigation.